each of you, if it feels right to you to stand up, that tends to be a better way to really get into the movement deeply. But if the way that you can do it and feels comfortable for your body is sitting, you can also do that. And I invite you all to just begin by taking a deep, deep breath, just connecting with your breath, and perhaps even imagining like a waterfall that comes all the way from your feet as they connect to the ground and opens throughout your whole body with the in-breath. And then with the exhale, it releases, traveling from the head all the way through the back of the body and down back to the earth. So I invite you to take perhaps 2 or 3 breaths like this, where you take in the source of the earth, the fuel of the earth, through the front of your body, taking in the in-breath and allowing that in-breath to help you open whatever spaces are contracted or closed or not visited. And then allowing it as it reaches the crown, then to exhale through the back of the body, and imagining that through that traveling in the back of the body, it releases whatever you need to release, to invite yourself to be more present here, calling in yourself to more than anything else to begin with your inside of your body. If your mind is very active and it's not allowing you to do it, perhaps touching a part of your body can be helpful. Hand on the heart, hand on the belly, just to have that connection, and feeling your feet on the ground, feeling that connection to the holding of the earth, to the holding of the mother, for those that connect to that connection. And perhaps in this last cycle of breath, inviting yourself to almost breathe with your feet, with the consciousness of that contact of the feet. And again, taking in all that opening through the inhale, and as you release, allowing the exhale to go all the way down, knowing that at any point in your movement, at any point during this call, you can use this practice of breath to help you open more, to help you connect more, and to help you release, to bring us here to be in this circle together and with all those joining us. And I'm going to invite you, just for a minute before I begin the music, to notice and sense the inner movement that is happening inside of you through the breath, and letting yourself to begin moving through the following of that inner breath, imagining that you're moving to a silent song. Those that just arrived, your perfect timing, you can join us in the movement and the breath as the music begins. So allowing this inner song to move you in the silence, just letting whatever is coming through you to speak through your body, noticing, sensing. If there's thoughts, just watching them pass by. And as you're making this connection with the silent song, with your inner movement, the music will begin, and just allowing this to continue. You don't have to match the music. Let the music continue taking you within.
this place is crazy. You gotta hold on, you gotta stand up tall. And when this fire, it tries to change us, we let it in. Quicksand, becoming fountain, becoming open, becoming joy and pain into this ocean, this holy moment you dive in. Take a look at me now. I am a shadow dancing light. I am a freedom falling like rain. I am the love you gave. Coming on down, and nothing gonna stop me now. Whenever I call your name, you're coming like a waterfall, and I'm singing you through the night. On every breath you've given, riding all waves of time, making my way, making my way. Making my way, making my way, making my way. Error, becoming pious, becoming righteous, becoming fallen grace into this garden. We're cast as children to begin. Listen, the winds are changing, the waters rising, the compass points us home. And are we moving? And are we choosing to stay away? Take a look at me now. I am a wild wind in the night. I am a letting go the reins. I am a love you gave. Coming on down again, nothing gonna stop me now. Whenever I call your name, coming like a waterfall, and I'm singing you through the night. Whenever it was you've given, riding on waves of time, making my way, making my way. Take a look at me now. I am a shadow dancing light. I am a freedom falling like rain. I am the love you gave. I am the love you gave. I am a shadow dancing light. I am a freedom falling like rain. I am the love you gave. I am the love you gave. Coming on down again, ain't nothing gonna stop me now. Whenever I call your name, coming like a waterfall, and I'm singing you through the night. Every breath you've given, I've no waves of time, making my way, making my way. Making my way, making my way, making my way.
Staying with the movement, staying with the breath for this next piece, just allowing yourself to be taken by your soul, movement, by the breath.
Blessed we are to dance on this ground with the rhythm of saints to carry the sound. We will pray for the earth, for the ones yet to come. May you walk in beauty and remember your song. Blessed we are to dance on this ground with the rhythm of saints to carry the sound. We only pray for all life, for the days yet to come. May you walk in beauty and remember your song. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Ay, 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 ay. 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 Blessed we are to dance on this ground with the rhythm of saints to carry the sound. We will pray for the earth, for the ones yet to come. May you walk in beauty and remember your song. Blessed we are to dance on this ground with the rhythm of saints to carry the sound. We will pray for all life, for the days yet to come. May you walk in beauty and remember your song. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Ay, 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 yo. Ay, 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 yo. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ones yet to come. May you walk in beauty. Remember your song. Set me out to dance on this ground. The rhythm of sadness, the carrying sound. We pray for our life, for the days yet to come. May you walk in truth and remember your song. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Remember why you came here. Remember your life is sacred. Ay 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 yo. 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 Ay 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 ay. Blessed we are to dance on this ground with the rhythm of saints to carry the sound. We will pray for the earth, for the ones yet to come. May we walk in beauty and remember our song.
Yeah, just staying wherever you are, allowing the inner to find that point of stillness as you perhaps take a breath in connection to your heart, in connection to that blessing of your soul, and finding in your own timing your way back to the circle. Pass it back on to you, Marcella.
Wow, thank you so much, Maria. I hope that you all were able to enjoy that as much as I did. Oh, that last song was just so penetrated to the core of my like soul, you know? Just remember your life is sacred. Yeah. Wow. I just pray that I can remember that in those moments when I'm just really disrespecting life within my own being and around me, and the challenge that it can be sometimes to receive it all as a gift, every single bit of it.
Yeah, so powerful for this new moon. I thought with Sagittarius being such a yes to life in the middle of all these very intense energies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a great reminder, too, of I'm just going to play around here with my, there we go. I was doing a session today with someone who had a lot of Sagittarian energy and also a lot of dynamic energy, in which there was quite a bit of polarization and mixed messages coming within one form of totality, right? And the one thing that I love about being able to work with these energies of this particular moon cycle is that you can be a full yes to your no. You can be a full yes to that no. It's really not in conflict. You know, our capacity to actually be really, really affirmative of everything we do, even when it is setting up a boundary or it is creating a choice. Those things do not have to be coming from negation in any way. You know, they really can all be coming from affirmation and be coming from love and being an assertion of love, even if it may not feel like love for whoever's receiving it. When we know that we're coming from love, it can actually mitigate the amount of time it takes for people to accept how things might need to go in a way that's rightful for us. Um, so I really want to conjure that for myself, because I think it's a big one for me to really honor and get right within myself, that even those no's can be very affirmative in a good way, in a strong way. So before I open it up, I just want to see if anyone has any burning need or share or something that they want to weave in here in terms of what you've been going through around this particular day or eclipse or these times. Um, this solstice portal got sort of kicked off with the last Pluto Jupiter conjunction. Um, I can't remember exactly what day it was on, but it was sometime within the last 3 weeks. Um, and then just on Saturday, we had one of our Venus gates that we just crossed into that has a lot to do with our creativity and connecting to the womb area of our body. So there's just been a lot of movement, and I just want to check in to see if anyone wants to share about that experience, um, specifically to bring this to life through your own experience of it versus our telling about it. And if there's nothing there for anyone in this moment, although I see Sheridan moving, I don't want to assume anything. You do? Okay, Sheridan, come. Please weave in because I know you're the one I scared away a couple of months ago when I talked about these new moons coming up. So I'm glad you're taking the mic.
Oh, aloha, everyone. Well, I did a wonderful eclipse ceremony meditation. I'm really tired because I was up for it, before dawn. What I felt of the energy was I certainly felt kind of the suddenness and intensity of the way that it came through. It felt really life affirming. It felt nourishing to me, but it was a little sudden and sharp as opposed to, this kind of slow build and, oh yeah, the energy's coming in. No, it wasn't like that. It was like, the energy's coming in, it was like that. And so it feels, especially since I'm tired, it feels good to just feel it as a vibration without going into my stories about it. So I thought I would just share that. And I guess I'm feeling inspired, encouraged, excited, and certainly everyone's effort in arriving and coming together now here in this group is heartening and inspiring as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you, Sheridan. It feels, it just feels really beautiful to be able to honor that sharp energy that you're describing. And you didn't use the word sharp, but as you were, I felt that sense of different than those expansions that open like this, those ones that come through and they kind of have a little cutting energy to it that still opens, but it makes you respond. Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that anyone wants to weave in? And then I think I'll turn it over to Leslie.
I could just say really briefly here at this very moment, in terms of, the moon and the feminine, we have huge water happening. It's flooding and raining and raining. And they talk about, king tides at the same time as all of this. And I kind of wonder why they don't say queen tides. Yeah, so it just feels like a complete kind of softening, wetting, cleansing, and stilling, in this space here right now. And it's, in this region where it's really falling so heavily, it just brings everything to a complete halt, a bit like, COVID did. And you know, the rivers are flooded, the bridges are over, the everything. So people are fairly used to just staying still for a couple of days. But I just wanted to tell you that's kind of the energy that I'm experiencing here right now with that moon. And of course it was too grey and too wet to see, you know, any moon or be awake at the time.
Wow. And just for reference, Fiona is in Australia. I'm not sure exactly where, and Sheridan is from Hawaii. So we're really kind of blending different parts of the earth here. And yeah, I didn't realize I've been in my own sort of bubble here. So I didn't realize there was all of this flooding going on where you're at, Fiona. Yeah, it sounds really powerful. So thank you for bringing in the big waters, the big queen tides, the big queen tides of life. Just take a glance here to make sure no one else is wanting to come forward. And um, okay, and I also am just really wanting to feel into my intention as well, which I think I want to kind of sweep the way here for Leslie, because part of what I was feeling into this eclipse is the places also where our light does get eclipsed at times. And for some of us, we experience that actually energetically just more frequently, you know, based on how we might be built and how our charts are generated. And certain cultures and certain environments call forward more easily certain kinds of energies, and other energies often don't really get seen or don't come forward, especially in social and communal spaces. Um, and we have to work much harder to actually receive the medicine of the souls and the beings that are holding and carrying the energies that are not necessarily of the times. They're not necessarily built to flourish within whatever given environment that they or we might be living in. And I just want to recognize that and do my best to take more time to see how we can bring those kinds of energies forward in our circles. I don't know exactly how to do that. I know that I have my own training, of course, in succeeding in the Western world, and I'm a good interrupter when I need to be. Um, and at the same time, there's so many more qualities in me that I find it's only within other circles and settings that are more held by my Indigenous elders or teachers, that I find that those parts of myself actually feel safe to come forward. So it's often an interesting experience for me to dance through the different circles that I dance through, and also to facilitate in different ways. Um, and I really love that one of the things that wanted to come forward tonight was Leslie's experience with this tree, because I just feel like it's a great example of how much medicine and wisdom is around us, and how and what is required to help bring that forward so that the gifts can actually be received in a more generous way. So, in the spirit of generosity, of honoring the medicine that we sometimes need to travel further into the forest to receive and to view and to honor, I would like to invite Leslie to come forward with the medicine that she wants to offer that came from the tree.
Thank you, Marcella, and everybody, and Maria too. Those two songs, they just went right to my heart, and I felt like I was walking up to this tree as they were playing, the wording and everything. I moved to California 8 years ago, and I realized I was looking for myself. I'd lived on the East Coast for the first 54 years of my life, and I never felt home. And literally, I moved out here not knowing what I was searching for. And someone took me to this river probably 6 years ago. And it took probably 2 years before this tree really started to speak to me. But this picture doesn't do her a whole lot of justice. It's a madrone tree. I don't know if you can see that. And there's 9 branches that come out of the ground. And I have a life path number of 9 in numerology, and I can literally stand in the middle of these 9 branches and feel her power. But what speaks to me the most is that she's given me permission to be me. And she's given me permission. She was, I guess, the elder, the wise elder, or the indigenous elder I've been looking for my whole life and never had. And the fact that she sheds her bark from like May until October, like all the other trees are blooming and doing their thing, and she's doing the opposite. She's shedding like nonstop. And then she's changing colors as she's shedding. So she'll go from like bright, I don't know, it's not maroon. It's like a burnt orange color, deep red orange. And then she starts to turn green as the bark is shedding away. And then the bark, it's kind of thin and papery. So then it's all around, you can see it here on the bottom. It's like, it's all on the ground underneath her. So she's making her own compost as she's just shedding away. And what she's given me permission to do is just shed all of the old conditioning, all the old roles. Like Marcella, when you were talking about the power of the no, of the true no, that was bringing up emotions for me because I realized it's taken me, maybe 2 years ago, I started learning it. So 60 years for me to learn what my true no was. And I realized when you were sharing that my mom and my grandmother didn't know how to, didn't have permission to say their no's either. So I feel like this tree, first of all, she's deep in the forest. So you're going down this really thin trail and my vision clears every time as I'm walking down this trail and I come to her, which just blows me away. I mean, I'm wearing the same sunglasses, but there's something happens when I'm in this deep part of the forest where she is, and she's on the way down to the river. But I feel like she's helping me clear the maternal line of all of the baggage that we've been carrying, the no's that we didn't get a chance to say, and the way that my mom and my grandmother, they're both passed, didn't get a chance to be their true selves because they were Italian. So we not only had the Catholic religion telling us who we should or shouldn't be, but in the Italian line, you cater to the men more than anything, and you just keep your voice suppressed. And so I realized in hindsight that my light was a threat and still is a threat to the family members that are still alive. And the interesting thing is when I first moved to this neighborhood, we have a close little cluster here of people that would get together on the holidays and that sort of thing. But I could tell as I was coming alive, I was becoming a threat because they were not, they were older than me. They were living a different path, and that was becoming a threat. But I was tuned into this tree who was giving me permission to be who I am supposed to be my unique self, that I can shed all of that conditioning and allow my true self to birth. And the interesting thing is, all of these people have either passed away or moved out, every single one of them, except for one couple at this point. So it was like this natural clearing process that I could just keep shining, and the universe was taking care of who was moving in and who was moving out. And I feel like when I'm in the forest and I'm at the river, it gave me permission to be my true self. And the more that I go there and embody that, the more I can come home and be that here. And I'm also in a few different circles between my family, between a few online groups, and I find that I need to be a slightly different version of me for each one, but I can still be my unique self, sometimes just a little more toned down. But when I know that I can go to the river and be my wild, true self, that it's like I'm learning how to, like you said with the archer, like I'm going to the back, pulling, getting the potential there that's eventually going to shine through. But I'm learning, I guess the wisdom is to learn when to tone down in order to be more effective with certain people and when to be your full potential. And I put in the message to you that there was 2 tea bag messages that go along with this tree. When I first started learning Qigong 6 years ago, I drink yogi tea every afternoon. And there's a little message on each tea bag. And the one that I would get repeatedly when I first started learning Qigong, the message was empty yourself and let the universe refill you. And I got it so many times that it was like, okay, there's a message here for me that I really need to take to heart. And I realized that's what Qigong does. It's teaching you how to empty the old to make room for the new. But then a few years ago, the one that kept coming over and over was prosperity is within us. And so last Sunday, I was in this retreat with some other women. We were co-facilitating, and I did qigong, and then they did a collage thing at the end. And so I took my tea bags and I made a collage over an image of the tree, and I did it in the spiral pattern. And the spiral starts with the empty yourself message and then ends in the middle with the prosperity is within us. And it's taken me a long time to figure out that's what the tree has been teaching me, to empty myself, to shed all the old stuff so that I can embody who I really am. And that the prosperity is within me, because if I was going to build a new life on the still insecure self, that prosperity is out there and I have to go grab it, then I'm not building on the true potential. And I feel like that's where we are energetically anyway. I think that's the age of Aquarius coming in. I think that's this whole, Jupiter Capricorn are moving from earth to air. I feel like that is what this transition is for me and collectively. It's like empty the old material, consumer, rape the earth stuff. When we are fully inside of ourselves, we don't need a whole lot of other stuff. Like Maria dancing those things, just moving my hips. It's like, that's where the juice is for me at this point. It's not coming from a drink anymore. It's not coming from a sweet treat. It's coming from the movement and filling with my own source at this point. And I feel like that's what nature has been teaching me, but this tree in particular. Wow. So, I've always been a tree person, but there's something about the uniqueness of this tree that just is called to me in such a way that I wish everybody could meet her.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for weaving her into the circle with us, that madrone tree with 9 branches and composting leaves. And what a great metaphor for this eclipse too, where the emphasis really is on that divine mother seed that's inside all of us, and trusting that as the richness. And just everything you said feels like it was just like mimicking that energy of letting that seed grow in us, and how that just basically composts everything else and brings that back to the earth. So it was so beautiful. Thank you so much, Leslie, for taking us to that little part of the earth that's been your teacher and guide and medicine during this time. That feels really special. Does she have a name? Is there any name that's come with her? I mean, the image is really strong, so I feel like the image will live with me. I just wondered if there was any name or sound.
Well, my mother comes to me a lot, so I realized she needed to be the grandmother. She's Grandma Madrone.
Grandma Madrone. Yeah. Okay, let's hear it for Grandmother Madrone. Wow.
Thank you, Marcella.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie. That was really, really powerful. I'm definitely feeling Grandmother Madrone. Yeah. So does anyone else want to stitch in here? We just have a few. Can everyone go over a little bit today? Because I also have a couple of announcements that I want to make at the end of class, at the end of our time together. So that people, okay. And also there is a song that I'm really, Christiana said that she would weave in for us too. Let's see. I really want to emphasize as well, in terms of the astrology, that we are being shaken at the most foundational of all levels right now, as a culture, as a species, and as individuals. And for some, that shakeup is feeling really good, like a release, and for others, it's feeling really scary, like what is going to replace what's held me, and not knowing what that is. And, these times have been inside so many stories, so many songs, so many prophecies. You think even back into the 60s when they were singing It's the Dawning of the Age of Aquaria, and we thought at 2012, okay, what is this going to be? And most of us in this circle, I'm sure, had enough wisdom around us that we knew it wasn't going to be some kind of instantaneous change. Yet at the same time, I'm not sure any of us at that point could have imagined how hard it might feel, or actually how scary it might be. At different points in our lives, it's easy to live into the future and want the new to come. And at the same time, we're not always really aware of what that process is going to feel like. And so I just really want to acknowledge for everyone out there that is in this very profound rite of passage of feeling something new being offered, and also feeling the old dying, that we're here for each other, and that it's okay to reach out to each other, and that I'm seeing that folks that have community, that have invested in community, that trust in community, are able to weather things in a way that can be different than if you feel isolated and scared to reach out, or the shame is so strong that it makes it more difficult to build those relational gateways, but to just really take to heart just what this experience may be like for people that are traversing it in extreme ways. Because even when you make those steps towards something that feels more vibrant and more real and more honest, it doesn't mean that all those other ways of being just, evaporate like that with they're not just thought forms, although in some ways it's nice to think of them that way, but oftentimes there's really ingrained energetics. So to just really take heart for ourselves with compassion, and for others that are making real change in their life, and feels really good to have, not just, it's like the combination of folks that can hold us in ways that help us grow our consciousness around it. And sometimes these circles can really help us with that. And then it is important to continue to make sure we're invested in those relationships that can also show up and help pick up a box if we need to make a move, or raise a roof if we have to make a change. And these things are just important to have that balance, in our lives and in our commitments, and to I'm just feeling the piece of actually, how much we get stretched. We all can just get so stretched in terms of being able to stay course in the conversations that we have, and what we're holding, and walking toward. And so with that, I want to pass the mic over here to Mary Ann, who wants to share a story that came to her in response to what we're doing and holding today, and really make room again for the wisdom, and how the wisdom and what the wisdom holds for us can help be a guide during these times.
Thank you, Marcella. And thank you, everyone, for welcoming me into this group at this time. I know you've all been together for a bit. And, I told Marcella, normally coming new into an established group like this, I would kind of be quiet and feel into the group a little more. But something did come immediately to mind when I got her email today. So I will start with a story, and then I will share a painting with you that was the result of all of this. So, when COVID hit, and I'm in Wisconsin, by the way, which we're one of the worst places right now. But for a while, I was happy. I was like, yay, everything's canceled. I can stay home. I can do yoga every day. I was thriving. I live on a beautiful lake. I'm in nature a lot. I can really, Leslie, relate to your story with the trees. I love being in the woods with the trees, and I'm a movement person. So, it was all going along pretty well until all of a sudden it became clear that I was not going to get to attend the birth of my third grandchild. I had been at the other two. I was much requested by my daughter in law to be present and to be present for my 3-year-old granddaughter, who is my heart and soul. And suddenly I felt the full weight of the restriction. So, about that time, a lovely artist by the name of Shiloh Sophia, many of you may be familiar with her. She's a Northern California artist, was offering a free painting workshop. And Shiloh Sophia is very famous for her goddess paintings. And this last year, she's been very much about going into a deep dive process of really bringing forth the pain and the hurt that we as women have, felt for, ever. So I signed on to this class and we started with the whole process. And she does this process of intentional creativity. So, you do a meditation, you come up with your intentions, that's on the canvas, and then you start layering in color. And then finally, she was guiding us to kind of bring forth this silhouette of a woman. And anyway, it was like, okay, whatever comes. And my ego was kind of going, well, I don't know if I need this whole process. I just want to paint. And it was really funny. So, I did the whole afternoon and I kind of put it aside and figured, all right, I'll come back to this. But I talked to my cousin who also did the class, and we were both agreeing that, yeah, we didn't know if we needed all of that deep dive stuff. We'd done a lot of that work. Interestingly enough, that night, I couldn't sleep. And I started to realize there was this deep churning. And I was like, oh, I guess I did need that work, because it really did start to bring up stuff. And the next morning, when I walked down the stairs, the painting was still on my easel. So it was like the first thing I saw. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that the painting, I'm going to show it to you now. See if you can see it. The painting was a womb and the child within the womb. And I realized that it was totally a healing for me from the Divine Mother, telling me that it was okay, that I wasn't going to be there for little Leela in person, but that I was totally with her in spirit. I feel like Leela came to me through this painting and said, it's okay, Grandma. So she's my little Taurus, and she's 7 months old yesterday, and just really coming into her beingness. And I did finally make it to California in September, which it filled my heart so. But I look at her now, like we FaceTime, and she lights up. She knows my voice. I mean, it's amazing. So the mother is so alive for us, and to know that distance doesn't matter ultimately. So I have such gratitude.
Oh, Marianne, thank you. Thank you so much for weaving in that story and that painting and that journey. It's just so important to be able to recognize really what these times have forced us to experience in a way that we wouldn't otherwise. And this is such a great example of how it's actually put in place another sensory system.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that a lot towards the beginning of this year as we were sort of living into this next stage of coming into the age of Aquaria, and just how essential it is that we're really expanding all of our sensory systems so that we actually are able to body, the energy that's coming through. And you know, both all these things that people have woven in are such a great example of that. But this specific one around birth just feels so sacred and so important. So thank you for honoring that child and that, you know, that egg that was in you at one time and now is out in the world and still speaking to you through the invisible worlds, and now expressed through art. I mean, what a magical story. Wow. So if everyone just wants to take a moment and just maybe just put our hands over our wombs and feel that place in us where the seed of creation is held. And like Maria was invoking the way that we can take a breath with our feet. We can just feel ourselves held by the greater forces in the cosmos and that divine mother energy that is both holding us and within us. Just take a moment to really feel the seeds that we carry and to focus on that seed that feels so pure and capable of expressing love through action in some natural sequence that's connected to the source of life, all of the elements, a natural order and a greater structure that our mind does not have to control. Just like creation breathes itself through us, that the life-giving energies and the creative energies also just pour through us in a natural way that we can open our bodies to, open our minds to, open our hands to, and our feet to, and allow ourselves to be both expressed and also to allow ourselves to experiment with what can come through us to create beauty and health and connection. So if you want to take a couple of deep breaths, and then when you feel ready, you can come back into the space of the circle. Well, I'm still feeling also that grandmother madrone. It's so cool to like feel the seed. They're like merging within me now, where I feel the seed of Mary Ann's story and the grandmother madrone and all of her 9, you know, trunks like coming out, and just how those 9 trunks feel about like what I need to purge what's coming through me, all the ancestral karma that wants to be released at this time. It's really it really feels nice. It feels like an incredible ally, Leslie. I'm really feeling grateful. I also wanted to take a moment because I've been a part of this incredible gathering and generative energy of a group of people that has been dedicating a lot of time and energy into helping one of the elders in our circles actually move out of a canvas tent, which she's been in for about 6 years in southern Vermont. She heats it with a wood stove, and it's really, I want to like cry, and out of both being moved by who she is and also how the circumstance makes me feel. Because she's been in the process of building a cabin on her land, and it's been challenging because the resources that her husband is a builder, so the resources they need to build the house and his time and attention are always in competition with each other. They're both folks that really came out of the 60s committed to living a different way of life. And so I respect that so much, similar to Mark. You know, all of you know Mark and his stories of just how the 60s changed him and he was never going back. And Una and Bob are very similar. It's like they got it. They got it in the 60s and they were never going back. They weren't going to do the thing you're supposed to do. They were going to live close to the earth and close to spirit, and they have done it. And now they're in their Bob is in his 70s, and so um, and I shouldn't laugh, but they're also just the cutest people ever. And so in their environment, they like come out. I was filming them on Friday, and they were like, you know, fairies of the earth, coming out to meet me. Um, but even when I was filming y'all, my hands were like freezing. I mean, freezing. We were outside of the tent, and the sun was just going down. Um, and so a lot of us that have been in these communities out here on the East Coast have been just like, we've like raised more than $15,000 now, and the roof is literally being raised, and the walls are being built, and the insulation's being bought, and even more, not more important than that, but equally important to that, we've had like, I don't know, like more than a half a dozen circles like really come together, working in collaboration, totally putting our egos aside, putting aside whatever our visions are for our little project, and saying none of that matters. What matters now is we care about this one woman, and we are going to rally. So we have rallied, and Hillary is here, and I just wanted to let everyone know that we put together this incredible silent auction. Um, so if any of you are going to be doing any gift giving this season and you want to donate something to Una, you can send it to a friend, and there's just incredible stuff in there. So I thought I would just give Hillary a moment to be able to talk about that, because I'm championing this as much as I can with every ounce of me I have. Oh, you're still muted. Let's see.
Oh, there we go. It's so beautiful to hear you talk about this journey, and also to hear you as a teacher in this space as well, knowing you in those other spaces, and to be here with all of you. And so, yeah, like Marcella was saying, there's an amazing silent auction with over 140 opportunities and crafts and jewelry and beautiful sessions and experiences, and it's really overwhelmingly beautiful to take in. And my cat is wanting attention right now. um, and so even to just check it out and be inspired by the love that's poured through has been so amazing. And there are beautiful things and things that can be extremely supportive and maybe very affordable, right? You know, are very affordable. So especially some beautiful healing sessions that I'm excited about too. So check that out. I'm sure Marcella will share the link with you all, and know that you're a part of our community that is like this ever widening expanse of circles now. It's really incredible.
Yeah, thank you for saying that too, Hillary. I do, you know, I do just want to reflect that there is something about feeling the the just the web of life being made stronger through coming together in this way, and that um, the circles that Una has been in, they do cross over with other circles that link me to Maria and the West Coast. And so I'm sure with each of you and year 7, Fiona all the way out there in Australia, I'm not sure that it connects that distantly yet. I don't know if we're out that far into the planet in terms of this particular community of people, but um, um, you can check out the Winterfest. I'll put the auction link, but there's also an event page, and there's going to be some activities happening this week. There'll be a closing ceremony for the auction on Friday, and a lot of the songs that I've been weaving into this circle have been like written and mused by many of the women in this greater circle. And so I just want to honor that as well, because it's all these elders have helped cultivate those spaces that so much medicine is coming through. And now I do feel like Hillary and I are among a younger generation too that's kind of keeping that going. So it feels really important to honor our elders in that way, and not just the indigenous elders, even though Una and these women I very much experience as carrying that indigenous energy, earth up energy, but also they are among a culture that hasn't been as sensitive to these issues. So it feels even more important for us to be able to recognize what comes before us and learn how to take care of that and just keep weaving that cycle of life back together in its wholeness. So that's part of how I'm feeling the Divine Mother expressing through me, and remembering that there are times where it just matters, like action matters. So thank you for letting me spend a little bit of time in our circle for that. And I'd like to invite Christiana in. And this song that she is going to offer, and Hillary, you know this one too, feels so much like an expression of these circles. And I just wanted to close with that song in honor of Grandmother Una and the Winterfest celebration, and yeah, just what it means for us to show up in these times with everything we have it in us to be, and even do something as creative as building a house through everyone giving their gifts. Because that's kind of what this is. We can't all build houses, but we all have gifts to give, and we've just put them all in one place so that folks like you can be able to benefit from what we're doing, and hope that the mutually beneficial exchange helps everyone rise. So, um, so Christiana, are you there?
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hello, beautiful soul tribe. It's so interesting. I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit vulnerable. I am in such quiet space. I'm in the stillness of my winter,
Yeah.
and wanted to share in a different way. However, I feel I can come into this place knowing that we have sung this song, that an elder in our community has introduced this song around the fire. And we have come together, many of us here in person at Earthland and other circles, singing the song, which is not necessarily the women of the earth are gathering, but the people of the earth are gathering. Our elder Marcia allows us, to change those words. I noticed that there's possibly a brother here with us, right? Ross Jones,
Uh,
or is it all sisters here?
I think it's all sisters here. But I was thinking, one, Christiana, if you're not feeling that song, I just want to honor that too. And also, I was thinking of the one that's the fulcrum of your power. This is the moment, now is the hour.
Oh yeah, and I don't have that at the tip of my tongue. So I am going to honor my womb right now, and thank you for that invitation, and that all are here witnessing me and my vulnerability. I'm feeling this eclipse in a very deep way, and I feel that I would like to introduce, uh, as well as come to completion with our circle, a deeper spiral into our womb, a deeper spiral into bear medicine, a deeper spiral into winter, although I know Fiona is entering into her summer. If I could do that feels really nourishing. If I can introduce that.
Please, Christiana, I love you. I'm so glad that you're here. As you're vulnerable, come as you are self, bring the medicine of the moment. That is really welcome.
Yay. Right on, right on.
Thank you
So,
for coming to play.
thank you so much. I want you to know that in my lap during this whole time together, I've been holding a ceremonial drum that I handmade with one of our elders. It's a bear hide. And so I've been holding the heartbeat of the circle silently. And with that, I'd like to read something that came forward. And I'm asking if each of us here now can put our hands over our womb, skin to skin, and come into that place of stillness with our eyes closed. and honoring where each of us are. If that feels comfortable, please do. And if it doesn't, honor that as well. But having our hands over our belly, over our womb space, our thumbs at our belly button in an inverted triangle, and witnessing and noticing our breath rather than altering our breath. And if you could soften the jaw and allow the mind to soften as well, and the eyes to drop back into the eye sockets, and allowing the throat area, the voice of us as women, to become supple and connect deeper with the heart, which now drops like a crystal through water down into the portal of our womb space, into the pelvic bowl, into our cauldron, into the mother, into the holy of holy, the holy grail. If we can allow ourselves to settle into that space and to trust, for we as women birth the world. And if you can allow yourself to hear inwardly the heartbeat of your own womb heart, as I read what's called the winter of the womb. Didn't we want endless summer, endless abundance? Isn't that what progress was for? But it's too much of everything. Hot bleached seas are dying, while up north a white rippling giant with a head like an arrow and paw prints like prehistoric art drones somewhere we can't even imagine, because imagination happens between snowflakes on a slow afternoon when we have time. And we don't have time. Send out the warriors, change it by chemicals, wrestle the weather back by newer technology, demand it from the leaders. But the womb, she says, you cannot win the winter back by battle. Then what will you do for it? Nothing, she says. I'm just going to listen. To whom? Asked the warriors. To Bear, she said, the oldest, fiercest warrior who in winter goes into the darkness and just rests. She goes quiet, a thing winter used to do long ago. She dreams of the curves snowflakes make over ugly things, turning it soft like the body of a woman. The way fireside stories remade us with wonder, with the way food tasted when we needed food to live. Do you remember? Dream, says Bear, of things that were lost when you lost the winter. Your world is burning right now, but winter is a time for stopping to remember. You're going to need to know to tell your grandchildren a story about what a polar bear is, what a forest is, what it feels like to have things in this world that are grander than you. And in the warm, furried cave of her body, in the cold, eternal cave of winter dark, where Bear's children first suckle, in this womb of stillness, this is the only place from which a world can ever be reborn. If you allow yourself now to take a deep breath through the nostrils as though you're pulling in golden light up through your yoni gates and into your womb space and up through your heart and through your throat, your supple throat, and through the third eye and the crown, and taking that deep inhale and then exhaling through the nostrils and allowing that energy, whatever that reading brought up for you, just allowing it to rest now gently as though winter is coming into your womb space, a place of stillness, a place of depth and deeper spiral, and allow ourselves to be in the darkness of this eclipse, as well as the light that this eclipse brings. And then allow yourself to gently come back into this sacred space And whatever that looks like, whether you open your eyes slowly or the eyes are the last to open, and wiggle your toes and fingers and bring ourselves back into this sacred container under this new moon eclipse, and allow ourselves to gather together, holding each other's hands and womb to womb, tomb to tomb sisters. That's what I felt I wanted to offer tonight from my womb heart. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Christiana. That was perfect. I appreciated it so much. What a way for us to wrap our hands together over that creative, fertile space.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you all for staying on for this a little extended eclipse new moon ceremony circle. Thank you, Maria, again for weaving in that music to help our bodies, honoring our bodies, all that they're holding right now, and how fun it is to take care of them, and how singing and dancing has always been a part of being human. And let's remember to make sure we have more of that part of being human. And thank you, Leslie, for bringing in that grandmother Madrone. May she live deep inside of all of us now. And thank you again, too, for bringing her out of the forest the way that you did. And Mary Ann, grandmother, bridging the spaces of time and invisible and visible pieces of our lives through birthing, and birthing through art and through the sacred connection with your granddaughter. I feel so honored that we got to be a part of that story. And Hillary, Sheridan, Fiona, Ross Jones, all the others that kind of came in and out with us today. Thank you for sharing your stories and bringing your part of the earth into this circle. And again, Christiana, thanks again for your womb healing magic and all that you bring, and so many blessings out to you and your family. I know you've been through so much, and I really hope that all that you brought here tonight is just returned to you and your family 1,000-fold. So thank you for your healing wisdom. I appreciate you so much. So we will see you hopefully on the solstice. For those of you that can make it, Mark and I are coming together at 4 p.m. on Sunday, a week, just this coming Sunday. So we will spend a little pre-solstice time together for those of you that can join us. And please visit the Winterfest event and the Community Rise book. I'll put those links out to the Tribal Drumbeat list and on this video as well. So any of you that want to support these efforts, it's well received on our part, and we just thank you for all that it takes to be a living, breathing human at these times. Take care. Bless you until we meet again.